Welcome to Buckeyes Tomorrow Morning for Thursday, March 13th. I'm your host, Tom Orr. The Texas game in 170 days, the game against Michigan in 261 days. If you are planning your next event, make it unforgettable with Grateful Griddle, Columbus's favorite food truck, serving up smash burgers, gourmet sandwiches, and good vibes. Book your catering today at gratefulgriddleoh.com. On today's show, you're going to get to hear a bunch from Ohio State defensive line coach Larry Johnson. We had a chance to talk to him last week, and man, it was about as spirited as you ever see Larry Johnson. He's always a fun guy to talk to. He always has that sort of like reassuring, calm, very knowledgeable voice. But man, he had some interesting stuff to say. There's a lot of new faces on his defensive line, and he had some big picture stuff to talk about as well. Going to get the chance to hear directly from him about all of that stuff on today's show. Let's start just with the new guys. They obviously lost all four starters from last year's team, lost Mitchell Melton, lost Hero Kanu. So a lot of new faces up front this year. So what's the expectation for production for those new starters?
Yeah, I don't know where you can put production on those guys yet. They played a lot, but what you got to look at is that they haven't played 40 plays or 50 plays in the game. They played 20, 25 plays coming in as a substitute. When you're a starter, that's a different ball game. And so those guys got to learn how to play on the field longer. And that's something we got to build through spring and the summer and get ready to go in fall camp. And so we're not there yet, but the opportunity to kind of build this is going to be the challenge. That's what we're working on right now.
With an entirely new defensive line comes, you got to have some entirely new leaders there. So who can be the leaders up front for that defensive line?
It's hard to say, point one guy out. It's got to be the whole unit. You got to move the whole unit in the right direction, right? You can't move one guy without moving 10 guys. And so my philosophy is we got to move the whole unit, find a leader as we go. But right now, it's everybody's got baby stuff. Everybody's working, trying to learn how to do it the right way, because now there's nobody in front of them. They're it. And so that's a different mindset.
One of the most intriguing players on this team, not just in the defensive line, but on the team on the whole, is Edrick Houston. He came in as a 5-star prospect last year, was supposed to start as a defensive end, and by the end of the year, he was contributing as a true freshman at the 3-tech spot on the defensive line inside. So what's the plan for Edrick Houston this year?
He's going to play 3-tech. That's where he feels comfortable playing now. He's 285, 290, and we don't want to switch him again. And so I think that he'll give her some inside rush at the 3-tech position. So I think he's very comfortable with doing that now. He helped us out to get through a stretch, and now he feel like, hey, coach, I could do this. I got a chance to be a star in the fall. So that's kind of motivation for him.
Larry Johnson has been around through a number of different defensive coordinators at Ohio State over the years. So how much change is he expecting with Matt Patricia now in charge of the defense?
Well, I think, first of all, Coach Matt Patricia is a great coach. They're very smart, and he's done a good job of introducing what he feels is his philosophy, trying to merge two different things together, not take a lot away, but kind of do his own thing. And it's a great defensive scheme to play in, but he's more, I guess he talked earlier, more about getting guys in the right position to really contribute in the game. I think that's the biggest thing you take from it. So I think it's coming together real well. He's on the ground 3 weeks trying to put this thing together. We got a really great staff in the room with us to kind of pull this together. But I'm really excited about what he brings to the table and where we go from here defensively.
Larry Johnson said later on in the interview that they're expecting to be a very multiple defense under Patricia. That's something they showed more last year under Jim Knowles. So how much of an adjustment is that going to be for Larry Johnson and his defensive line?
4-3, you take a 4-3, everybody gets confused that I'm a 4-3 guy, but really, you take a 4-3, you take in, stand them up, you can slide to a 3-4 just like that. And that's multiple defense without changing any personnel. And so it's a 4-man brunt, but we can go to a 3-man, a 4-man, a 5-man, 6-man in a heartbeat with the guys on the field. So I think that we've been multiple, but we keep saying it's a 4-man front, but it can be interchangeable 4-man front. Yeah, that's it. That's all it's, man. That's how you look at it. Everybody can say it's 4-man front, 4-man front. Not really. When you kind of to the pieces, the 4 guys can stay on the field, and you can pop JT or pack KJ up, and next thing you know, it looks like a 3-4. But it's 4 guys on the field playing that's been in the game. And so I think that we kind of lose how you can play defense now, because you can't substitute every play to get a new personnel. So those guys got to be able to play from a 4-man to a 3-man or whatever happens. You have to be ready to do that.
Talked earlier about Edrick Houston being one of the most intriguing players on this year's team and on this year's defense. Here's another one, CJ Hicks. He's another guy who came in as a 5-star prospect and has just kind of never really found his role yet as a linebacker. So this year they're trying something new. They're going to have him in the defensive line room. So What is Larry Johnson expecting from CJ Hicks as a defensive end?
Well, he's with me right now. So CJ is with me right now and trying to learn how to play the position. And I want him to learn how to play the position as a defensive end, stand up if we get to that moment, and not as a linebacker. I think that's the transition he's got to go through. He's done an outstanding job thus far. He's bought in to what we're doing, and I think that's the key. When a guy buy in, is like, this is what I want to do, and he has a really good skill set, so we can use him in a lot of ways. But we don't want to use him just third down, right? We want to use him first and second down. So my job is to get him ready to play to run from on the line of scrimmage, opposed to being in space. That's different. And once we accomplish as we go, then I think he'll give her a chance to give her some great depth there and really do some good things for us. I'm excited about him because he's really excited about the position change.
With the defense being multiple and showing a bunch of different looks, how impactful could a guy like CJ Hicks potentially be this year?
Yeah, that's a bonus if he can do that, right? Because he stays on the field. And then you bring a guy from space, you can drop him from space, or you can blitz him. And I think that as we go forward, I think we're trying to build that. We just can't build it around one guy. You got to build out what a capable he can do on the field. And so, like I said, it's early stage, so it's hard to say this is what we're going to do because we're just putting it together. But I know that CJ is very happy where he's at. He seemed to have a really good time understanding what we're doing, and so we'll see how it goes from there.
Obviously, it's still early. Spring ball doesn't even officially start until next Monday. But what has Larry Johnson seen from CJ Hicks so far that makes him think that he could really be an impact guy this year?
Well, we know he can rush. He's got great speed off the edge. He really can get off the ball. That we know that. Now, like I said before, can he play on a tight end and a six technique? Standing up in 2 feet playing. That's the thing he has to learn how to do. Once he masters that, their rush stuff will come easy because now he's on the field, and that's what we try to work on as we get going. We can walk out of spring with him feel really good about playing a run and rushing the passer. Man, we got a bonus, and that's the goal.
Another guy to watch this spring is defensive tackle Jason Moore. This is the 4th year now for Jason Moore in the Ohio State program, and he's been stuck behind some very talented players, but now those guys are off to the NFL, and there's a real opportunity to take on more snaps and a much bigger role this year. So how big of a spring is this for Jason Moore?
Yeah, I think Jason's got to play football. He's got to play more football in live situation, right? So he didn't get a lot of shots playing in games. And so this offseason is his biggest offseason. I've said to him in many conversations that this is a year, this is the time. The process is now built. Now he's got to go. And I think he's ready for that challenge. So I'm looking for great things for him as go forward. He seemed to be in a good space right now. I like where he's at. But we got a lot of days to go to get him ready. So I'm very confident he'll be ready.
Even with JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer on the team last year, Kenyatta Jackson really did take on a bigger role and really flashed quite a bit and played some very important snaps for the Buckeyes throughout their run through the college football playoff. So, all right, now with JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer gone, what's the next step for Kenyatta Jackson?
Well, he's got to be a leader, first of all. So that's our role for him that he has not been in. He's going to be the leader to move the unit. And so far, he's done a great job doing that. Now he's going to be the guy who's going to have to demonstrate the production for us and move the stick for us, yardstick for us in our defensive end. And I think he has a chance to do that. Now he's going to play 40, 50 plays, so we'll see him more. And I think we'll see his talent come to front.
With JT Tuimoloau and Jack Sawyer now off to the NFL, the Buckeyes were definitely looking for some more bodies, some more guys who could potentially contribute at the defensive end spot. And they brought in Logan George from Idaho State. Now, that's quite a jump from FCS to the top of FBS and Power 4 conference football. So what made Logan George someone that Larry Johnson wanted to pursue in the transfer portal?
Well, you look for a fit, right? The most important thing, he fit. Does he fit our defense? Does he fit our scheme? Does he fit our culture? That's all important when you bring a guy in from the portal. It's got to be a fit. And sitting, talking to him, talking to the family, talking to his coach was really raved about him as a player. And then once we sit down and met and talk, I felt like he fit our room. He's a great character, can rush. He plays hard, and everything you want to see, you got to have, he has. And so I'm looking forward to seeing where he goes from here.
Towards the end of the interview with Larry Johnson, he had some really interesting stuff to say. He was asked about his relationship with Jim Knowles and reports that he and Jim Knowles didn't see eye to eye and all that kind of stuff. He said there was never an issue with him and Jim Knowles at any point when they were working together at Ohio State. So where does he think that all of that came from?
because you guys think he's a 3-4, you guys looked at his system at Oklahoma and thought that way he's going to bring the Jack thing here. You know what I mean? That's what you thought, right? And so when you looked at that, everybody was looking for a 3-4 defense. But you got to remember, we have all these 4-3 guys here. And so you have to change the way you recruit if you're going to change the defense, the scheme set, right? And I think we tried Jack Sawyer at that position to do it, right? And then as the season went on and teams were playing offensively, you know what I mean? It was predicate to more and having 4 guys on the field and changing up. So whenever I like I don't chase stories and lies out there because nobody's asking me this question here first. But Jim and I had a really great conversation about what we're doing. There was never a moment where hey, I don't want the 3-4. There was never that. Because what's the best fit for our players and how can we get them to compete? And that was always the conversation with us, and to this day. And the story was made up about there was conflict. There was no conflict. Maybe because I said, well, I don't know about the Jack. I don't know what, at that time we don't know what we're going to do with the Jack. But I knew that we felt Jack Sawyer. It was a decision between coach and I that, let's get Jack Sawyer back to defensive end. And that's when, let's go to another Jack position guy to do it. But we never did it again. We never got back to the full defense because it changed what you do. No doubt, a question about it. It's a different scheme, a different thing we do, and you got to live by it. But in the Big Ten offense, man, there are so many different ways, formations, that you can get that guy caught in the alley and trying to play that, So it's tough.
And finally, what is Larry Johnson's evaluation on how the defense played sort of down the stretch run last year in the lead up to that national championship?
I think they play light out. I think they play close as a unit. I thought they had a lot of pride about what they were doing, and they were on a mission. They really were. After the team up north game, you knew that it was going to change. They did. I mean, it's a proud one as a coach. You see guys play the way they play. I mean, everything came to the top, and that's what you want. At the greatest moment of all, it happened from these guys. And I couldn't be more proud of how they played down the stretch. And every day they came to work. Every day they came to work. Never one moment where they hey, coach, no, let's go. Let's go. I mean, you have to be in rooms and know and practice and see exactly what's going on. Every day those guys preparing for every game the right way.
Well, Larry Johnson's defensive line is going to be one of the very hot topics all spring as they look to replace all 4 starters, plus Hero Kanu, plus Mitchell Melton. You got some really talented young players, but guys who are going to be asked to do a lot more. And then you got a bunch of guys who have not really done a whole lot so far who are going to be asked to take on bigger roles in sort of a depth position as well. So this is going to be a real interesting year on the defensive line and a very interesting year for the Buckeyes on the whole. We're going to be there to cover all of it at BuckeyeHuddle.com. That's where Tony, Kevin, and I cover the team. Mark covers recruiting. We got our whole team of X's and O's gurus there as well to make you a smarter football fan. That's all at BuckeyeHuddle.com. We hope to see you there. That'll do it for today. Thank you guys all for joining us. Have a great day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.